Welcome to the BriteVibe podcast. At BriteVibe, we believe everyone deserves to be happy. But in today's world, everywhere you turn, there is division and negativity. At BriteVibe, we have created a global movement to bring 8 million people together who are inspired to live bright, live bold, and share bright vibes. Alone, it can be hard to change, but together we can change the world. Welcome to the BriteVibe podcast. So on today's show, we have Bree Cox, certified personal trainer, but so much more than that. She's certified nutrition specialist. She does pre and postnatal fitness, and just an amazing person. She's a wife, she's a mother, and just a highly motivating human being. So let's get to the show today with Brianna Cox. So Brianna Cox, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you on today.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Yes. So, your background, you're a certified personal trainer, but you're much more than that. I've looked at your website, studied some of your stuff. And so, I think personal trainer, I think is probably where it began, but it's really looks like you've really expanded out what you do. And so the one question I want to ask just kind of to start off our show today is, what is the one thing you would want to get across to anybody listening who's maybe starting their journey, restarting their journey as far as physical fitness, but really you do more than that. But what would be the one thing that you would want to impart to somebody?
My number one tip would be that it's all mental. It all starts in your mind before anything else. You can do any diet, you can do any nutrition plan, any workout plan. It does not matter. If your mental mindset is not there, then it's not going to stick. So it's all within. It's all, why do you want to accomplish this goal? What is really that deep rooted meaning to you? And what's the point really of all of it? And if it's not strong enough and it's not deep enough, it won't stick. So my goal is to show people what is that and how can you connect with it so that you have a lifelong relationship with fitness instead of just doing a quick cleanse or a 30-day, quick fix or keto or whatever. It's got to stick. It's got to be this like shift inside.
And so what do you see with people that kind of, because if you look at, every New Year's, people have New Year's resolutions and they statistically, I don't know what it is, 80%, 70% fail within the first 3 weeks or whatever, that you may be more familiar with that stat. I know it's really super high. But what is the difference between those people that fail and the people that succeed?
I think there's a lot. I think one of the, probably actually, if I were just to name one, it would be the all or nothing mentality. People who think that they have to do it all and they go all in and they go too extreme. And I've seen even a lot of my friends do this, a lot of clients will try to do that when they first come and they'll be like, I just need to get this weight off. I just give me the most extreme. I'll do 6 days a week. I'll do 2 hours a day. I'll, whatever I need to do.
Right.
And I always tell them no. I'm like, no, that will not stick. That will just further create the yo-yo dieting
Right.
mentality of the all or nothing that you have. And so it's definitely all or nothing mentality. That and then not connecting with their why and not knowing why they're really truly doing it.
And that's what I was going to come back to, is the why, because I totally agree with that and know that about my own self and my own, journey of transformation. And then when I'm visiting with other people, that why is so important, right? I mean, if you don't have the why, you really can't do I don't care if it's career, diet, exercise, relationships, if you don't have that why crystal clear, there's almost no chance of success, right?
Right. And I even have, this is a great example. This happened yesterday. So my friend started coming back to the gym and she was like really frustrated because she had been coming religiously for a month. And she's like, I'm not seeing any change in my body. I'm going to quit. This is too much work. I can't do this anymore. I'm not seeing a change. It doesn't work. And so I had to tell her, well, what kind of person do you want to be? Do you want to be the type of person who prioritizes their health, who prioritizes their mental health as well, their emotional health? Do you want to be the person that fuels your body with nutritious foods because you know that it makes you feel better? What kind of person do you want to be? And then you have your daily habits reflect that. It's not based on the results at all. The results will come If you just focus on what you can control, which are your daily habits, your daily mental wins, your effort, that's what you can control. And in that process, you become the person that you want to be. If you're focused so much on the result, when those results don't come as quickly as you think they should, which again, all frustration comes from unmet expectation.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not happening as quickly as you decide you think it should happen, you'll feel frustrated. And that's why you have to focus on the process. You have to focus on the habits. You have to focus on the person that you actually want to become. Then those results will come. That's second, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's going to come. So I had to walk her through that and be like, if you quit now, you're just going to go back to that unhealthy version of yourself that you don't like. So that's not a win.
Right. Right. And to your point, it's more about lifestyle, right? I mean, it's not, and I know, I've, through the holidays, I had, been sick a little bit here and there, and I know that I had to taken a week off or so of going into the gym and working out. And I know my mental state, like, changed, right? Because if I wasn't
For sure.
lifting, wasn't doing some cardio, wasn't just engaged in movement, I got kind of in a funk. It was kind of like, oh gosh, this isn't, I'm not even worried about weight gain, weight loss, muscle gain, muscle loss. I'm just worried about mental sanity right here.
Yes, it affects every area of your life when you stop working out.
Thank you for listening to the Bright Vibe podcast today. We've got a special event coming up here shortly, July 12th through the 16th, called the Global Happiness Summit. And we're bringing resources from around the country together to talk about happiness and what that means and how to have more of that in our lives. Go to britevibe.com, BRITE Vibe, VIBE.com for more information about the Global Happiness Summit. And we look forward to seeing you July 12th through the 16th.
And so what do you reckon? So one is getting clear on your why, right? And getting clear on your why, and then
Yes.
making it more about a lifestyle. So when let's take the I guess two examples. One's maybe people that are just coming back to fitness, just kind of coming back to, hey, I know I need to do something different. I don't feel good. I'm not where I want to be. Kind of what you say, you don't recommend that they go all out because they'll burn out. So kind of
No.
what is, with some of your clients, what do you recommend?
So you have, in order to improve a habit, you have to be consistent with that habit. So I say start very small. I teach them a concept called floors and ceiling goals. Have you ever heard of
Huh, no,
that?
I haven't. Floors. I'm going to write that one down. Floors and
Yeah.
ceiling. Okay.
Yes. So you have a floor goal
Where
and you
you
have a
lay on the
ceiling
floor and
goal.
you look at the ceiling. I can do this. This is like
No.
Shavasana and yoga. This is my favorite exercise. I can do this. All right.
No, but let's say you want to learn yoga,
Okay.
okay?
All right.
Let's say you want to do yoga. You really want to get better, and maybe you're trying to like, oh, I've always wanted to learn how to do that. So your ceiling goal may be, hey, if I'm feeling really good and everything goes right, my ceiling goal is I want to do yoga 3 times a week,
Gotcha.
right?
Okay.
That's your ceiling goal. That's your ultimate like ideal goal because it's something realistic that you think you could probably stick with. But what happens when you're sick? What happens when you're out of town? What happens when your schedule gets crazy and you can't go? What's your floor goal? So your floor goal would be, okay, I'm going to do one yoga pose a day, or I'm going to do one
Oh,
yoga pose
wow.
3 times a week. That's my floor goal because you can do that when you're sick. You can do that when you're busy. You can do that on vacation. And you're creating the habit of showing up for yourself. You're creating the habit, no matter if it takes you 5 minutes or an hour, you do yoga 3 times a week,
Got it.
right?
Yeah. And
That's your goal. And oh, sorry, yeah.
well, I was thinking you were going to say do yoga like once a week, but you're literally saying do one pose. Maybe
One yoga pose.
your floor may be one yoga pose once a week or 3 times a week to your point. So you could say
Yes.
I'm practicing yoga 3 times a week, which technically would be correct if you're doing one yoga pose, right?
Yes, because you're establishing the habit of showing up. So then, once you establish that habit of 3 times a week, you do one yoga pose, and that becomes a habit, then you can increase. Okay, now my floor goal is going to be 10 minutes of yoga 3 times a week. So no matter what, I do
Mm.
10 minutes.
Hmm.
And so the whole goal of this is to teach yourself how to trust yourself. You're building confidence with yourself because you keep your word. You're doing what you say that you're going to do, no matter the circumstances. And so when you set that floor goal, no matter what, you're still keeping your word with yourself. And that's powerful. That's important. There's even an example. This is funny. I was listening to another podcast last week, and they gave almost the same example, which I thought was funny. The trainer told his client, I just want you to drive to the gym and I want you to warm up for 5 minutes and go home. That's it. Because he was so scared, like, I don't know if I can take this lifestyle on. And he's like, we're going to start with warming up for 5 minutes. All you need to do is establish the routine
Right.
of going to the gym, right?
Yeah.
Then after that, you build upon it. So it's really about just breaking it down and start as small as possible so that you can just establish the habit. And that's where most people just completely ignore that and go to extremes, and then they get burnt out and then they quit.
Right. I love that because I've not actually heard it said that way before, of like taking it down to so granular where it's something that's, I guess it's kind of like, I've heard it, I guess I heard Tony Robbins talk about this once. It's kind of like, if you basically lower the bar low enough so that you have success every day, whether you meet, it was basically like, I feel happy if I brush my teeth, right? Something like that, because you know you're going to do it every day anyway. So you start to tie happiness with brushing your teeth. And this sounds something similar, where you're taking something so small in a way, but you're building the consistency, you're building the muscle or the repetitive kind of routine into the thing, right? So it's more about,
Exactly.
it sounds like it's more about accomplishing that one small thing than working out for 3 hours a week, or whatever, 5, whatever it is, right?
Yes. In the long run, you'll be more consistent. You'll feel stronger mentally. You'll gain more confidence. You'll keep your word with yourself. And then you slowly increase.
I love that. And so, did you have some kind? Because I don't actually know your personal story. I've read your bio and went out and looked at stuff online, and love and I do want to get into later your podcast, because I noticed that there's a lot of topics on there that I wouldn't think would be on a personal trainer topics, and so I kind of want to visit about those as well. But kind of what made you want to get into the space of, one, being physically fit, but then also helping other people live, really, I want to say, healthier lives? Because again, when I look at your stuff, it's not just about being physically fit. It's more of, like, to your point, inner work, right? How are you changing the way you feel about yourself, which is much more important than just pounds or waistline, right?
Yes, exactly. So I've been a personal trainer since I was 18 years old. So I've been training clients for 11 years now. And I just love it. It's in my genes. It's my family background. We love fitness. Like, my mom was a fitness instructor. It goes back. So my whole family loves to work out. Well, as I was starting to help people, my mom actually does energy work, and she does meditation and energy work and all of this stuff. And so I was raised doing, like, daily affirmations and really changing, like, my lens, changing my story. How do you see this? You have power to change it. And so that just came natural to me because that's how I was raised. And I thought other people thought that way.
No, now,
And
now, when you feel like that you're odd or unique, you can know that you're odd or unique in a good way, right? Because you actually had healthy role models of the right way to do it. So we appreciate you sharing those today. But yeah, that's definitely,
yeah.
I didn't grow up
Yeah,
meditating or right, or having energy work done on me, or that's amazing.
Yeah, so it just comes natural for me. And then as I started helping clients, I would notice the results wouldn't stick because they had so many underlying mental issues or blocks that were stopping them, like self-sabotaging. Like, I had a client who never felt like she actually deserved the success. So she would lose the weight, she'd feel amazing, and then she'd self-sabotage and she'd gain it back. And I'm like, this is deeper. Like, this is, like, why are you doing this? What is your, that's where I really got, okay, we need to figure out the client's why, what drives them, what motivates them, what's going to be the real change here. And then as I started teaching these concepts, people, it was life changing. I have seen, I've trained over 5,000 people at this point.
Wow.
And it is life changing. If you see the before and afters, I also do retreats where I'll host clients and I'll do retreats. And I'll see clients that I've, trained for a year, and I'll show their before picture, and people can't even believe it's the same person because their whole, like, their eyes are different, their eyes are brighter, like, they start businesses, they start being better mothers, they start realizing their full potential. It is not just about getting a six pack. And that's what I preach, is like, if you can connect with, like, I call it your higher self. If you can connect with your higher self, you're unstoppable. And once you go through this process of building confidence with yourself, connecting with your higher self, meditating, putting your health as a priority, you slowly start transforming. And then everything that you would accept before from your life isn't acceptable anymore. You raise your vibration. So now you're like, no, I'm not this person. I've outgrown these situations. I've outgrown these people. I've outgrown my own excuses. I'm going to expect more of myself. And they keep doing that, and they just transform. And it is the funnest thing to watch. I am so passionate about it. And so anyway, that's kind of how it evolved. It was very slow, but I was like, and I got certified in I'm a mindfulness meditation coach as well. And so I wanted to get certified in that so that I could create my own meditations for my clients based on issues that I was hearing, like, being insecure, being really hard on yourself after you have a baby, feeling like you're stuck. And so I started creating meditations for my clients so that I could help them get through it.
That's amazing. And that's why I was noticing, like I said, when I was doing some of the background before our show, I was like, I listened to a couple of your videos, and then I saw the podcast, some of the things in the podcast. I was like, okay, this isn't just about lifting weights, right? This isn't just about going to the gym at all. It's really about transforming your life. And, I was talking to our director of education, Maria, yesterday, and she studies and really dives deep into these different areas of life. And she said the number one thing you can do to change your life is actually just get rid of all your current friends. I was like, wow, well, that's pretty. But, similarly, we had on the show here last month the guy who wrote the Blue Zones, all about living, the longest on the face of the earth and the longest and the happiest. And he actually said the same thing. He said, if you actually want to live longer, the number one thing you can do is move to a community where they have people that live longer, right? And because
it's true.
Because you're surrounding yourself with different habits, right? And different people. And Maria and I were talking about the fact that, if you're trying to get ahead and do good in your life, but you're constantly reminded by somebody who remembers all the bad things you did, right? Or all the things that you thought were bad, right? And they're constantly kind of like, well, who do you think you are to be going to the gym all the time? Or who do you think you are to be doing this or that? It's not good for your psyche, right? It makes it harder.
Yeah, you are the sum of the 5 closest people you hang out with. So, but here's the thing. A lot of my clients, they do have situations like that. They're like, my family is making me feel guilty for, like, eating healthy. Like, they make fun of me, that happens. And I think, so what we have is, I have a trainer under me as well, and we have accountability check-ins so that they have someone holding their hand. So even if they don't have that, maybe their family is being negative towards it, we have the accountability to be their partner so that we're helping them along the journey, because we don't want them to be alone. It's really hard to do it alone. And so if you have someone to be like, hey, what do I do in this situation? How do I do this? Someone's there helping you along your journey. That makes all the difference, because you got to have someone to look up to. You got to have someone who's on the other side who can pull your hand and help you through it. And so that's where we do our accountability check-ins as well.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. And community, for us and what we do, community is like our number one thing, because community inspires us to inspires and supports, right? It's not just about, oh, look
Yes.
at this person, how great they are. It's like, well, this person's probably doing well because they worked really, really hard for a long period of time. And so they've
Yes.
got some balance, they've got some things going on, but they're also real and will support other people because they understand how hard it is and they want to see people. I mean, typically, anytime I've met somebody that's truly successful, kind of at a soul level, they always want to see other people be successful at that same soul level. It doesn't matter,
Always.
it's like there's no competition at some point, but if you're truly coming from your heart, you want to see everybody succeed, right?
Exactly. It's a reflection of where you're at. And it's funny because when I do these retreats, all the women there are like, oh my gosh, there's other people that value this stuff. And they instantly connect. They instantly are like, uplift. I have never met a more uplifting group of women than when I do my retreats because they all have the same mindset. And so they're all helping to encourage and uplift each other. And it's really beautiful to see that community, or even just like, a client group or whatever, just like you're saying, whenever you get with like-minded people, they're all cheering you on. And that feeling is incredible. So it's finding those communities that you gel with that are also trying to be better, trying to be their best self.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And so obviously you have a community around what you do, it sounds like, and as kind of a supportive community you said you also do retreats, but what would you encourage for people that are just starting out, or, I mean, how do you connect with people that are kind of in a space that you want to be in? I guess you gotta have to stretch, right? You gotta have to put yourself out there a little, I think, right?
Definitely. And this is going to sound weird, but have you heard of vibration? Like you vibrate at a certain level?
Yes. Yes, frequency,
Okay.
vibration. Yes, everything
Yes.
in the universe vibrates or has a specific frequency, right? So
Yes.
that's not woo woo. That's actually science. They can
No,
actually
you
measure
can measure it.
from a rock to a
Yeah.
tree to the
Yep.
ocean to we as individuals. Everything has a frequency. Yes.
Exactly. And you can measure it in megahertz. And
Mm-hmm.
so, um, depending on where you're at, you start attracting people, relationships, opportunities into your life according to your frequency. So, as you start working on yourself, meditating, eating healthier foods, working out, changing your lens from being a victim to having power over your own situation, you will start attracting opportunities and people into your life that vibrate at that level. And it's weird. You'll notice it. And I'm really big on manifesting
Yeah.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
But you can be like, okay, I am now outgrowing my current circle of friends. I don't have anything in common with them anymore. Like they all want to party, they want to drink all weekend. Like I don't want that anymore. I want more from myself. So as they start, morphing into this person, their vibration starts getting higher and higher, they'll start meeting other people that are like that. And it will naturally happen. But I do think that you have to be looking for it and be open for it. So, like for me, I remember I moved to, I don't know if you know where Victorville is, but it is like,
Victorville. What
it's,
is that?
you don't even, it's in California
Okay,
and it's
Victorville,
on your
California.
way to Utah.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those cities that you like stay in your car. You don't even want to stop to get gas because it's so scary. It's like, it's where all of California takes like the gangs and pays them to live there to get out of
Really?
LA. Like
Wow.
it's bad.
Right.
So I was crying. I had to move there for my husband's job just for like a year. And I was like, I'm not going to make it. I am not going to make it here.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, I need to attract a person that is like me, that I can vibe with. And I did. Literally within 3 weeks, I was looking. I was like, who has the same vibe? And who has, this happy, positive energy that I want to be around? I found this girl. We instantly connected. We became best friends. She was the light in the darkness.
Right.
And I created that because I was looking for it and I was open to it. And so that's what you need to do when you're in that rut and you don't have anyone. Like you have to go out of your comfort zone, start manifesting it, and start attracting it.
I totally agree. Yeah, you're speaking, you're talking to the choir, speaking our language. I really appreciate you driving that point home. And you actually, so it's not like it's just you and your husband and it's easy. You can go to the gym at 5 a.m. every day or whatever time you go. I mean, you have a business, but you also have 3 kids, right?
Yes.
So how do you balance all that? Because that's a lot going on, right? But you have a business,
Yeah.
you have a husband, you have these kids, and it sounds like you've moved a couple times. So how do you balance all that?
You know what? It was really hard, to be honest. In the first 2 years of my business, I was staying up till 2 in the morning. Because I had 2 babies, and I couldn't work during the day, so I was staying up till 2 in the morning. I just wore myself out, and my husband actually was like, "You can delegate. Like, you don't have to be the only one to do all of this." And he kind of, I don't know if you can relate because you're not a mom, but maybe if, like any parents,
Right.
but mom guilt is real and mom guilt is strong. And so
Right.
I was like, I can't get help with my kids. I had my
Yep.
kids. I need to take care of my kids. I can't get help. And it was, my husband's like, that's a limiting belief. Like, you can, if you want, you can still be an amazing mother and get help. And so I was like, you're right. So I hired somebody to come help me clean my house. And I don't do it all. I don't do it all myself. I can't do it all myself. So
Yeah.
I always want to like help women, give them permission, like get help. If you can, get help. So I had to work my butt off for the first 2 years to get to a point where I could do that. Because at the beginning, you're just starting out.
Right, of
So
course.
sometimes you're like, you can't pay for help or you can't pay for a babysitter to come a couple times a week while you work. Anyway, so I got to that point where I could hire a babysitter to come a few times a week and help me just like balance. She can help me cook, she can help me clean, we can tag team the kids, or I can do a podcast, record a podcast while she has the kids. And that was a game changer. So it's honestly knowing where you need help and actually giving yourself permission to get it. Because I never want women to look at me and think, oh, she has it all together, she can do it all herself. No, I can't.
Right. And that's not really the goal, right? I mean, it doesn't matter who you are or what you're doing. The goal isn't to go through life and do everything by yourself because that's just not how the world works. A lot of,
Exactly.
I used to have that same type guilt early in my career. And it was like, I'm actually providing job opportunities for other people if I'm asking for help and paying them. I'm giving them
Exactly.
opportunity to engage in this so they can learn and I can learn and or I can go help somebody else. So it was really more of the law of reciprocation than it was, and also paying it forward to some degree. It's like, well, if I'm having somebody come and clean my house every other week or whatever that is, then I'm also providing job opportunity for them and their family and providing. So it's not just about, oh, we've got to do everything on our own, right? That's just not the way the world works.
Yes, and I started realizing you only have enough energy that can go towards something. So I wanted my energy to go towards, I didn't want to have to clean my house. I would rather spend that either with my kids or working, doing something I'm very passionate about that brings me joy. And so I started being like, if I put more energy towards the things that bring me joy, that I'm passionate about, that I'm good at, then I can hire someone to help me clean my house.
Right.
And
then they're passionate about that. They're passionate about cleaning people's
Yeah.
houses and making them feel, I mean, so it's
Yes.
to your point, kind of it raises a vibration, but it also has kind of this ripple effect where you're actually affecting others in a positive way because you're empowering them to come help, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I will say time blocking is huge. I don't know if you've heard of time blocking, but that's how I have to literally sit down at the beginning of the week and I time block every day. And I have to be like, okay, I had to set boundaries. Like after 3 o'clock, I'm a mom. When the kids come home from school, I don't work. I don't touch my phone. I actually put my phone in my room
Good for
for
you.
4 hours until they go to bed. And I am only present. And then I started having way more balance. I didn't feel overwhelmed anymore. And I was like, I get what I can get done until 3. After that, when the kids are home, I'm a mother and that's it. And so those boundaries and time blocking is everything, or else you will get burnout.
Yeah, I totally agree. I know I've got, I'm addicted to my phone like probably almost everybody in North America or the world. But yeah, and I noticed the difference too. If I leave it in my car, I put it in a drawer first thing when I go home, then I'm much more present than if I'm looking at text messages or stuff coming through, and it's like, because you can't really be productive. I mean, you can't be productive in either area, right? Or you're not really present in either area. So really,
No.
they used to say, multitask, but then it was kind of disproven that actually works. It's like, no, really, to be efficient and to be the most effective, you focus on one thing, do that,
Exactly.
and then go on to the next thing and do that. So yeah, it's an interesting life we get to live and learn and traverse. Now, I wanted
Well,
go ahead. I'm
no, no,
gonna look
you
up
go.
your I'm gonna look up your website. So go ahead. I wanted to reference
I was
something.
just gonna say, with my mindfulness training, happiness comes from being fully present in your life. And that's what we're missing right now in society. People they can't even sit at a stoplight without pulling their phone out, And so they can't play with their kids without being on social media while they're waiting for their kid to take their turn on the game, Like,
Right.
it's just, we cannot ever be fully present. And that's where you get anxious. That's where you get the anxious feeling, because you're not fully present in your life. So when you can be more intentional with your time and say, okay, I check emails for 30 minutes a day. This is when I check emails. The rest of the emails I can check tomorrow. I don't have to be checking emails all night long.
Right.
It's not healthy, right? Like, I don't need to be on social media throughout the day. I can do 30 minutes during this time, and then I live my life. I'm fully present. And when you have those moments with your kids or your family, and you are 100% engaged in what they're doing, it's a level of happiness and peace and satisfaction in your life. And that's where people feel peace. That's where you feel that calmness instead of the anxiety. Everybody has anxiety now. It's because we're all distracted.
Right. Yes. Thank you. I think this is this show today is just for me. Actually, I'm just writing notes. And it's like good reminders just for me. I did want to read some of your episodes though on your podcast, if you don't mind, just the titles, because the titles, as I read down through some of those, I was like, okay, again, that's when it started to dawn on me that you're doing a lot more than. So 5 ways to avoid decision fatigue, the planning technique we use to level up our marriage, honor the struggle, avoiding the skinny fat trap, finding your why, you have that on here, navigating pornography addiction. So you're
Yes.
so I'm like, fight the new drug, the magic of maintenance, lots of different stuff on here. So help me understand all these topics and where you go with your podcast. I'm like, these are some amazing titles to your podcast. So is it just stuff that you encounter from your clients or stuff that you run into and you just kind of say, hey, I'm going to go talk about that, or what inspires you there?
So my goal is a holistic approach to health and wellness. So the holistic side is your mental. And so my podcast is more of that realm, where I go into like a healthy marriage, a healthy sex drive, even. I talk about healthy parenting. I have parenting experts and behavioral therapists on my podcast. My husband and I literally did a live sex therapy session on the podcast. And it was like, it blew up. It was like, everybody loved it. But I just want to show any positivity, anything that will help my clients or my listeners have a higher vibration, I will share. So it's really, the podcast is more of like a wellness, I would say, life wellness. The pornography one is interesting because it's such a low vibration, and it like can really ruin your mental health. And they've done studies that it brings depression, anxiety. You're not satisfied with your life. All of these things. So I did a whole podcast on all the science behind why pornography is so harmful to your mental health. So yeah, and I have no filter. So
now I'm gonna
start. All.
Now I'm gonna start calling you Bree. Since you don't have a filter, now I'm gonna start calling you Bree. In the beginning, I want to be more professional. Now it's like, okay, Bree has no filter, and I appreciate that, because I like the fact that you just go straight at it. It's not like it's not like some sugar coated thing. You're like, let's talk. This is important. Let's talk about it. Let's do something about it, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And all of these topics I'm very passionate about, so it's fun for me. It's easy to talk about.
Yeah, no, this is amazing. Yeah, I really love your subjects, and you're a very prolific podcaster. It looks like you're every week, and sometimes more than every week. It looks like so. You got
Yeah, every Wednesday.
every Wednesdays when you drop your stuff. And what's the name of your podcast?
Yep. It's called Better Me with Body by Bree.
Okay,
We were
better.
in the top 5 trending podcasts on Apple.
Nice, very cool. Oh, I love that. And then your website is BodyByBree, right? BREE.
Yes.
.com. And so typically, how do you typically work with people? I mean, is it mostly virtual now?
Yes, it's all through my app. So I
Okay.
have an app called Body by Bree,
Okay.
and it's all through the app. So they can go on my website if they want to work with me. Then I send them a questionnaire to fill out so I can get to know them and then create their plan from there.
Huh. Oh, wait. Very cool. So yeah, and then it looked like you had like an 8-week program to kind of start or something. Is that?
Yeah, so I have them commit to 8 weeks because I actually do something called, I don't know how specific you want me to
Yeah,
get,
go
but
for it.
this is what kind of I feel, actually, there's a lot of things of why I feel like I'm different, but something kind of cool is I do an education week
Mm-hmm.
before their 8 week starts. So I call it like education week because I'm teaching them how to read labels. I'm teaching them how to track macros, why I'm having them lift the way that I do, how to meditate. Like it's basically a boot camp to
Mm-hmm.
teach them these life skills
Mm-hmm.
before they even start the 8 weeks. So I'm setting them up for success before they start.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want them to have the 8 weeks so that they have enough time to see the transformation. I don't believe in 30-day cut. I don't believe in 30-day fixes. I don't believe in cleanses. That's just not my style. It doesn't work, doesn't last. So I have them commit to 8 weeks. And then after the 8 weeks, I can train month to month, which we have a 67% continuation rate
Oh wow.
after the 8 weeks. That's how happy people are with the program. Like most people continue because they see how life changing it is.
Very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And then you said you do retreats. Are you still doing those, or was that kind of pre-COVID, or?
Well, so we had to take a little break because of COVID, but yeah, we're looking into where we're gonna go this year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
And then typically, how big are those, or how many people usually attend those?
we are actually going to Bali in September.
Oh, nice.
So that's a fun travel retreat, but typically we'll have about 30 to 35 women because I
Mm-hmm.
have to cap it
Mm-hmm.
because we do a lot of, I bring my mom as well, and
Mm-hmm.
she's a therapist. So we do a lot of like inner work
Mm-hmm.
when we're there, not just help. And
Mm-hmm.
then we also have fun. We go, like we did it at Zion's last time. So we
Mm-hmm.
went hiking in
Oh,
Zion's and
yeah.
swimming, and we do a lot of fun things as well. So it's not all serious.
Well, that's good. Life shouldn't be all serious, right?
Yeah, we rented electric bikes and it was
Oh,
fun.
yeah, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, Bali, I've been there. It's a very cool place. It's a long way to get there, but it is a very cool
I
place.
know, I'm nervous about that.
It's a flight. I can't remember if it's 16 hours or something like that, I think, from the States, but yeah,
Yeah,
if you're going, spend some time there, a week or two at least.
yeah.
Well, very cool. So what are you so right now you're focused on kind of helping, continuing to help people in all of the ways that we've talked about today. You've got retreats, it sounds like, coming up, and then you've got 3 kids you're raising. So you got a little bit going on.
Yes, and an organic supplement line because I'm all about gut health as well. So,
Oh, awesome. That's really cool. And I think I saw that on your website as well, right?
yes, I just don't, I hate American food. I hate our supplements. I hate the FDA. They pass all this crap in our food that we should not be eating. So I created my own supplement line because it doesn't have any fillers, chemicals, sweeteners, artificial colors, all the crap that's so bad for your gut health that is tied to your brain
Uh-huh. Yep.
and your fogginess and skin conditions and depression. Your gut is your second brain. So anyway, I did a whole supplement line because I was so sick of not being able to recommend things to my own clients because I'm
Right.
like, nothing is clean out there.
Right. Yeah, I hear you on that. definitely. And
So
and I think there's a lot of confusion, especially around the supplements, but food in general, of what's healthy and what's not healthy. A lot of people, well, we had Dr. Gundry on here a couple times on the show, and he would get very specific about food that we would normally, like tomatoes and some things that we would normally think, oh, that's a healthy thing. But it's like, well, it's not healthy the way we're eating it, the way we're preparing it. It can be healthy, but you got to cook it and prepare it the way it was supposed to be prepared originally. You can't just cut it up and eat it necessarily, because it's bad for your gut health. And so he got into all kinds of, I haven't read his latest work on keto, but he was looking at the keto thing and saying that it's not sustainable from his standpoint. And it's not necessarily even good for you. It's just, you can get the weight off and some stuff like that. So he was, I know his latest book is coming out is about keto. So I totally agree that there's lots of misinformation.
Yeah, and you gotta do, I mean, it's overwhelming for people. Like, you tell me I can't eat tomatoes, I'm gonna be like, what the heck? Like, come on. I'm gonna eat vegetables. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta do what is sustainable. Like, you can go down that rabbit hole. You definitely can go down that rabbit hole and be like, Tom Brady doesn't eat anything acidic, which he doesn't. I've looked at his diet.
Right.
But, like, do what you can do and what is manageable for you. And if that's adding a vegetable with one of your meals, that's where you start.
Right.
Like, don't get overwhelmed. Yep.
And it's kind of back to that whole extreme thing where you talk about the floor and the ceiling, right? It's a progression. It's not a all or nothing, because it wouldn't be sustainable unless you're going to literally like move to Bali and live in a retreat center and only eat what they grow right there, right? And that's, for most of us, that's not a reality.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love it. Well, sweet. Well, thanks for coming on the show today. We'd love to have you come back on and talk about things as it progresses, as your retreat gets closer. Hopefully come back on and we can talk about that. And then any other topics that you got great things that you like to talk about. And now that we know some of the things you want to talk about, we'll be like, now who can we have come on and talk about that? Let's just call Bree. Bree's you're our go-to for calling it as it is. So
I'm a jack of all trades, What do you want to know about? I'll talk about it.
I love it. And it looks like you do your research and kind of, lean in. So that's very cool. We love that here at the show. So
thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
I
So
appreciate that.
We'll put all the links to your podcast and You Make It Super Easy, your podcast and your website, and people can reach out to you. I think also, I'm sure, social media, right? Instagram, Facebook, all those
BodyByBree. Yep, BodyByBree Fitness is my Instagram.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being a part of the BriteVibe podcast. For more information, go to britevibe.com. That's BRITE Vibe, VIBE.com. Thank you for listening.